Hi, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back on another interesting topic on Vedic astrology. And today we'll be talking about the planet Mercury and how Mercury is related to professions. And as Vedic astrologers, if there's a connection of the planet Mercury with the houses which are related to a career in a person's birth chart, what kind of professions could you recommend to him? So that's the purpose of this video. I mean, there are various techniques to figure out as to what the best profession could be, which is of course the 10th house, planet sitting in the 10th house, conjunctions, aspects, the 6th house, the 7th house, the D10 or the chart which is in specific related to your profession, which is the Dasamsa chart. D10 is also called Dasamsa in Sanskrit. That part can be taken into consideration. Or if you look at Gemini astrology, the Amatya Karaka, how Amatya Karaka is placed in the birth chart, which house it is placed, what planets are aspecting, where Amatya Karaka is placed in the Navamsha chart, where Atma Karaka is placed in the Navamsha chart. There are several sutras given by the sage Gemini as to how to make a connection there, as to be choosing the right profession or the profession which you're already in, or where your Amatya Karaka is placed in your D10 of the Samsa chart. So there are several techniques to figure out what's the best profession, but today we'll not get into that. Those have been discussed in my previous videos, so please refer to that if you've already not seen those. But today we'll just be talking about the planet Mercury, and if planet Mercury is making a connection with any of the houses which are related, or any of these techniques which I just discussed, which are related to your career, then what all professions can you recommend that person to get into, or what all professions that person will be good at if Mercury is the planet which is directly related to his profession. Or if you look at a birth chart, you could figure out as to if Mercury is making a great connection with the houses of profession of that person. You can figure out yourself as to what profession, what's the likelihood, what's the probability, what profession he's probably already in. So that's the purpose. So Mercury has a direct connection with the business, as you know, that Varnijya, as it is called in Sanskrit. Because Mercury is a businessman, it is a complete Rajasic planet which is having a direct connection with making money, because business is about making money. Stock market, so people who are in the stock market and who are businessmen, who are traders. Mercury necessarily does not mean that it will be into manufacturing. That's another area, because manufacturing is not related to Mercury. Mercury is a trader, and Mercury moves very quick. So trading is all about, making quick bucks by trading products quick. And one of the examples I gave you is the stock market. Mercury moves very fast in the zodiac, as we know. And Mercury is green, money is green. It's all about making money. So they can make excellent stock markets, but just don't jump to a conclusion. Somebody's Mercury may be great, but he's not well educated, so he does not understand the techniques of a stock market. So don't jump to a conclusion and recommend him that. I mean, Mercury is green, it's related to plant and vegetation as well. So he could be trading in green plants or fruits which are green. Could be a guava, a guava trader. So obviously you have to see the other houses, his houses of profession, or his other houses which are related to his learning. And of course, if you see all the right combinations, then stock market is a great area. But essentially Mercury is a trader. He makes quick bucks through trading. And another area where Mercury can excel in, because Mercury is about good communication as well. As a matter of fact, excellent communication. So there could be professors who can make good speeches, but again, you have to see other areas as to whether he has the ability to acquire knowledge and gain that kind of a level of expertise, or a level of learning, so as to say, a PhD or a higher level, so that he can become. So those combinations have to be taken into consideration. But Mercury can make excellent professors as well. Writers. So people can get into good book writing or novel writing, or because that's about communication, or writing stories, short stories, long stories, whatever. Mercury has a direct connection there. Media people, because that's also about communicating, either through a TV or through writing or any form of communication. That also is a direct connection with Mercury. But again, once again, I'll caution you, don't jump to a conclusion without looking at his other areas. Like, for example, actors. So acting is a very, very important skill where you need to communicate those emotions to the audience. And it could be TV artists, it could be film artists. And again, there's an overlap here as far as cinema and movies and movie stars are concerned, because the overlap is with the planet Venus. And Venus is all about good looks and the cinema and the entertainment industry. But again, it can be complete only if the communication skills are good. Just to give you an example, dialogue delivery. An actor can be extremely good looking, but the dialogue delivery, which is a means of communication, is not good. Then of course it doesn't make sense for him to become a film star who can communicate, or an actor, so as to say. So you have to see the connection here. So a person's Mercury may be good, a Venus planet supports it, and then they're related to this house of profession. Then of course you can get him to you can recommend that person to get into the field of acting. So you have to see an overlap and also the connection with like for a professor, you have to see, well, he has a good Mercury, but then his other houses also support his acquiring of higher knowledge. And with the combination of Mercury, which is related to his house of profession, and his ability to acquire higher knowledge, he can be a great professor. So that's one. But he may have a good Mercury and a good Venus, but he may not have an ability to acquire higher knowledge. So, and a good actor cannot become a good professor, or a good professor cannot become a good actor, because a good professor may have the ability to acquire higher knowledge and he can communicate well, but he's not good looking. So of course he cannot make into a great film star, because he will not have that magnetic appeal to draw the audience to himself. So those combinations have to be seen along with Mercury, because Mercury is about communication. But again, look at the other aspects as well. Research, because Mercury is about intelligence. So good researchers can be directly connected to the area of Mercury. And again, once again, the other combinations with it. Editing, like I mentioned, media could be, they could make excellent editors, report writers for a newspaper. Also, as far as making good doctors are concerned, good physicians are concerned, because they have the intelligence. Mercury has the intelligence to understand or diagnose a problem correctly. But then again, look at whether he has the ability to become a doctor or not, whether he has the other areas, the other houses which are supporting his ability to acquire knowledge or not. So doctors, just like a professor. And then in specific terms, what kind of a doctor? It's because Mercury is directly related to the skin. As per the ancient scriptures, they can become excellent skin specialists. In case other combinations are favoring, because skin is related to the planet Mercury. And sometimes the area which is ruled, the heart area, because the heart area is the chakra which is ruled by the planet Mercury, which is the heart chakra. And so they can become good cardiologists as well. And if they have a good planet related to their houses of career and profession, or if they have a good connection with Mercury related to their house of career and profession, along with their ability to acquire higher knowledge in terms of getting a good higher degree in medicine. Also, since Mercury is about money, they can become treasurers. So in large organizations, you'll see a position of a controller or the treasurer, because it's related to money. And that also is a good profession for people whose Mercury has a direct connection with their houses of career in the birth chart. Also, they can make excellent accountants. So you'll generally see that people who are excellent in accounting, because it's about numbers, it's about math. They can make good mathematicians, by the way. So when we talked about professors, they can make excellent math professors in specific terms. But since their math is so good, they can become excellent accountants as well. And you will see in the birth charts of certain successful accountants a direct connection of Mercury with their houses of career, or they could be in Amatikaraka or related to the 10th house, or somehow there has to be a connection. And chartered accountants, which we call in India, which in the US they're called CPAs, certified public accountants, you'll see a direct connection of the planet Mercury in their birth charts. But again, they may not be, if they are not highly qualified, if if they do not have the ability to acquire that higher knowledge and going for higher studies, and of course it doesn't make sense, then of course you can recommend they can be a trader, which does not necessarily require those skills, those higher skills to acquire, learning and going to a CPA school, or going in for a chartered accountancy training or a CPA training, so on and so forth. So all those combinations, please make sure they can be good in shorthand writing. Earlier days people used to do shorthand writing. That's also in terms of good political success. Good politicians, you'll see, generally have the ability to communicate their views and thoughts to the audience very well. And once they come across a situation where they have to address to a large public gathering, so there, of course, the planet Mercury, if it's related to the house of profession, you can recommend them to become good politicians. But then look at the other areas, other planets, like a planet Sun or sometimes Rahu, whether there's a connection there. And then once you decide on that right combination, you can just go ahead and say, well, politics can be very well suited to you. Jewelry making also sometimes is also, or jewelry trading, or good jewelers who can communicate or create a nice piece of jewelry or design a nice piece of jewelry and present. That's also part of communication. So that also is an area where Mercury can excel in. So you have to look at the birth chart and recommend according to that. Sometimes singing also, because singing, of course, it overlaps with the planet Moon and Venus, but then sometimes singing is also a part of communication. So that also is an area. And sometimes you'll be surprised, good tantrics, tantra, which is it could be a tantra which has been acquired through reading ancient scriptures, not the tantra which is necessarily bad. There's good tantra. Tantra is nothing but it used to be, if you translate tantra, it's a technique. It's not a bad thing. It's just a technique for using knowledge, especially from the ancient scriptures, through mantras or tantras. So tantra is just a technique. So people can become good tantrics if they have a good Mercury connection with their planet, with their houses of career. So mantra and tantra, and mantra is again about communicating to the higher spiritual levels through the power of communication through mantras or tantras. That also comes under the purview of Mercury, and again it has to be seen as to whether they have the ability to acquire that kind of a knowledge or an occult science, so as to say. And Puranas, people can be good in acquiring that knowledge from the ancient Puranas. There will be a connection of the planet Mercury. You'll see some of the speakers on ancient scriptures and Puranas, they'll have a good connection of the planet Mercury with the houses of career and profession, because they can acquire that knowledge because of their higher level of intelligence from the Puranas or the Upanishads or the Vedas, and then communicate it to the general audience or to the general mass or the people very well. And they can make good speakers in spiritual fields and can make a profession out of it as well. But then again, look at the combination, whether it works or not. Literature, we've already discussed literature. They can make great storytellers, writers. So anything related to communication, related to math, related to higher intelligence, related to accounting. All these come under the purview of the planet Mercury. And when we discussed about being a good physician, of course, their intelligence is best suited for becoming a skin specialist, because Mercury, the planet Mercury, is directly related to the skin part of human bodies. So hopefully you did enjoy this video on Mercury and its related professions. And in the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic very soon. Goodbye.